Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. This one is fresh in my mind. I saw this last night. I was a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up. I loved the Super Nintendo game. I love when they came out with a series they used to show on Cartoon Network, even though this is a Nickelodeon Studios property now. I was always more of a Cartoon Network person than Nickelodeon. I used to rock with Nickelodeon though, but I was more so Team Cartoon Network. And a lot of the shows that came on Kids WB in the pipeline, they would eventually end up on Cartoon Network throughout the day instead of being on Saturday morning. So the Cartoon Network syndication was my exposure to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 cartoon, which I loved. And then that spawned, I think, Into the Battle Nexus. I love that too. You know, I was really into them for a while. I never saw the 2007 Michael Bay movie, funny enough. A lot of people think I shouldn't see that. So maybe I'll find the time to watch that after having seen this movie. So this movie is obviously going to get a lot of Spider-Verse comparisons. While maybe some people would say that it's a little lazy to make that comparison, you know, sometimes you got to be lazy in life. Laziness breeds innovation is what I say. People that worked on this movie are even on record saying they wouldn't have been able to do this movie without Spider-Verse. Quick fun fact, the first two reviews I ever recorded were Guardians 3 and Across the Spider-Verse, but I didn't know what to do with the video, so I just never released them. And I was like, oh, it's been so long, maybe I just should never release this, which was funny because Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians 3 were both in the movies for hella long, and my review still, you know, people still could have used it, but oh well, here we are now. Y'all wouldn't know this because I don't have a review on my channel for the movie, but I loved Across the Spider-Verse. I didn't like it as much as Into the Spider-Verse, which I loved even more, but I still really enjoyed Across the Spider-Verse. It was a great movie that I had almost nothing but good things to say about. So to compare this movie to those movies, I don't think that sets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie up for failure, because I think this movie is really good. I think it holds a candle to the Spider-Verse movie. I don't think it's as good as them, but I think it comes pretty dang close. I will even go as far as to say is there are things that this movie has that I wish Spider-Verse had a little bit more of. Spider-Verse movies are known for their incredible animation. The plot is also very good in a lot of people's eyes, very relatable, opened up a whole new generation of kids to Miles Morales, made him like the definitive Spider-Man for them for a while. Halloween was crazy. A lot of kids, a lot of Miles Morales costumes running around. We know the impact that those movies have. Unfortunately, the hype for this movie hasn't been as big, which is unfortunate, mostly because I think it deserves it. But I will say, yeah, maybe in terms of animation and in terms of plot, it's maybe a tiny step down, like a very small step down, like them little steps that people have in front of their house when they just want to have some steps in there for the sake of it, because they don't want their house directly on the ground, that type of step. That being said, the plot is solid. It's obviously a kid's movie, but the plot itself is predictable, sure, but it's not bad. It doesn't take you out of the movie. It doesn't have you saying this makes no sense. It's just a kid's movie, and I think I can definitively say this is the most teenage I've seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a while. They are very much so teenagers. They cast all teenagers in the role. It's very apparent from the moment you're watching the movie that these are just a bunch of teenagers goofing off, making jokes that a bunch of in real life teenagers would love. As someone who was around children, I am positive that they will love this movie. They will think it's hilarious. They'll probably, because kids are haters nowadays, I don't know if y'all know this, but a lot of kids are just haters. They're probably gonna be like, man, this is a bootleg Spider-Verse. But I think by the time the movie's over, they'll have laughed enough where they would love it. I also think a lot of the teenage humor in this movie, if you're an adult and you don't 100% understand what's going on, you still would think it was funny. I can say pretty confidently my theater was mainly adults, and it was filled with laughs. If you like Seth Rogen and you like Paul Rudd and you like those type of comedy actors, then you'll love this movie, really. So plot, solid, pretty good, honestly. Comedy, great. Animation, great as well. While all those factors I wouldn't say are perfect in this movie, I would say they're all at least good. So you get a really good movie at its core for sure. This may be a little bit of a hot take for me, but this might have been Ice Cube's greatest acting performance in my opinion. And I'm a big Ice Cube fan. My dad kind of looks like Ice Cube, so I like Ice Cube. I think the range that he was able to show as Superfly was honestly probably more than any of the movies he's probably been in for a long time. I mean, be honest, when you see Ice Cube in a movie, you kind of know what type of person he's going to play. He's basically going to play modern day Ice Cube. So in this movie, he was allowed to, you know, kind of jazz it up a little bit. He was definitely having fun with it, and you could tell that. And I think this might have been his best performance, at least the best that I've seen from him in a while. And like I said, I'm not even someone that dislikes Ice Cube. I love Ice Cube. So props to him for taking this role and running with it. I really enjoyed his performance. So in my opinion, where this movie actually beats Spider-Verse is the charm. The charm of this movie is out of control. You really feel for every character. You enjoy every character. You have a good time with every character. You leave the movie being like, dang, all these characters in this movie, just had me so compelled, and I loved it so much. I didn't feel that way for Spider-Verse, and that's not to say Spider-Verse does a bad job with his characters, but it's a difficult thing to do to get the audience really invested and interested in your characters, let alone the majority of them. I loved all the turtles. I love their dynamic. I love their dynamic with the other mutants. I love the mutants dynamic together. I love the turtles dynamic with Splinter. I love Splinter's dynamic with the outside world. I love April's dynamic with the turtles, April's dynamic with everything that's going on. The charm of this movie is out of control. The movie can be a little predictable because it is mostly a kid's movie. It's a movie for kids and teenagers, but I think as an adult, it was very easy to look past that and you get a really good movie here. So I'm gonna make it quick with this one. If I had to say, see it, stream it, or skip it, definitely see this movie. Animation is great. In a vacuum, see it. Even outside of a vacuum, I want this movie to do well because it deserves it, and it hasn't really gotten too much hype because it kind of came out in a time where a lot of people are seeing other movies right now. So you can check this movie out. Go ahead and do it. Thanks again, y'all. Go ahead and subscribe. When I hit 1,000, you know, the usual, somebody's getting something. I'm gonna keep it going if y'all keep it going.